So,
Yeah.
44. What is some advice that was given to you that you passed along because it made an impact on your path? I don't know. When I first started this path, the only piece of advice that my mother offered was be careful what you do. And let me tell you, that was not helpful. Not a whole lot of guidance there.
There's a couple of things that I pass along, which is one, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I'll go with the be careful what you wish for. Do be careful as to what you do. And do what feels right for you.
Right, and be true to yourself. Because if you're doing something that doesn't feel right to you, it's not going to come out right because you're going against nature. You're going against what is you. Number 45. What is some advice you would give to someone who has not found their deity? Keep searching. Or maybe you don't have a set deity. Maybe you're more fluid. Not everybody has a set deity.
Yeah, I mean, you hear all these stories of other people's experiences, but guess what? You're not other people. And if it's meant to be in your life, it will come to you. There's no point in forcing it. It will come to pass in its own time. 46. Where do you buy your herbs?
All over the fuck.
I don't have a set place to buy my herbs. I mean, used to, way back in the day, I bought all of my stuff from Mountain Rose Mountain. I never can remember which one.
Mountain Rose Herbs. Mountain Rose Herbs still has really good quality herbs, but
that's where I always bought my stuff, but...
I know where you get your stuff. Mostly. The grocery store. Sorry.
Yeah, I typically use herbs that I have readily available in the kitchen. I've had all of the specialty herbs, and they sat in my Witchy cabinet and collected dust and took up space. So,
and she also gets witch gifted, which is what I call it.
Yes, because my Tassie is awesome.
Because I tend to buy stuff in bulk because that's just who I am. It saves money, and I'm a cheap ass witch. I buy stuff in bulk, or I can't find something that I need in a small enough quantity, or it's too small, so whatever. And I share the wealth. So she gets stuff from me, and recently I sent her some sulfur and some calendula and all sorts of stuff. I get my stuff from Herbco, or herbco.com, which is a Monterey-based herb and spice company. I get my stuff from Amazon. I get my stuff from the grocery store and Mountain Rose Herbs, and honestly, it depends on what has the best price. And I get almost all of my essential oils from Amazon. So 47. How did you feel casting your first circle? Silly, scared, stumbling, etc. Because my mom is so into casting circles, my first circle was cast at a very young age. And I really didn't think anything of it. It's how I was raised. It was just what it was. It felt kind of weird because circle casting isn't my thing. It seemed, like I said before, tedious.
Sorry for all the coughing. I've still got this cold thing. Ugh.
Yeah, I know. I've been using my sinus and lavender oil all fucking night to keep me breathing.
For me personally, the first circle I ever cast, I felt silly, and I felt like I wasn't doing it right, but I wasn't raised in the craft. It was a new thing. I learned from books, and there's only so much you can learn from books versus learning from experience.
I think silly would be an apt term, because I always felt it unnecessary. But I was also raised where intent is the most important thing, and if that's true, then what's the fucking point? But there are certain things, if I do, I cast a circle of protection, so just so that nothing can really fuck with it, so yeah. But it's a very rare thing.
Okay, 48. What was your first successful spell? Most of the successful spells that I've done have been money related. If we're talking about, what actually did what you wanted it to do.
My first successful spell, I don't know, I have severe memory issues, so asking my first of anything is not an easy thing to remember for me, especially since I've been around this my entire life. So I honestly don't know. I can't. 49, what is your general practice for meditation? Oh, shit. Usually just zoning out and watching witchy YouTube videos or research or, online shopping. That is my meditation for me because it's, or playing random games that you don't really think about. For me, that is meditation because it relaxes me and it puts me in a good frame of mind. Reading is another one.
My form of meditation is before I go to sleep. I'll retreat into my personal witchy realm.
Kitland.
Yeah, Kitland. I mean, a lot of times it's in the middle of a forest or by the ocean, mentally speaking. Or, I'll do some meditations while taking showers randomly. Or just sitting outside and listening to and watching the birds and the leaves fall and that kind of thing.
That is nice. I often will sit here because I can't stand silence. It's part of my PTSD. I often have noise in the background. I have to. So I'll listen to an audiobook that I've listened to, 50 times. And I will stare at my 55-gallon aquarium and let my fish soothe me because, well, my fish do that.
50. Are you a day walker or a night comer? I much prefer being nocturnal. However, when you have 6 kids and have to get up in the morning and get them up and ready for school and do stuff while they're at school, otherwise you have no peace to do it in, I am dayturnal, as I put it. So,
I am very much a night person. I do have, but as stated before, I go in cycles. I have severe insomnia, so sometimes I'm not sleeping for 36 hours at a shot. Sometimes I can't stay awake for more than 12 hours at a shot. It depends. But as a whole, I'm very nocturnal. The day walker seriously sounds like it's something out of
Walking Dead?
Well, that too, but I was actually thinking Blade. 2-1. How and when did you know you wanted to be on this path? For me, it's always been a part of my life, but I rejected it because of several reasons. And I determined after a lot of research, when I was young, I attended a Baptist church, and then that church beat up my brother for not going to church to the point that it almost killed him. And that really turned me against Christianity, and I was very angry against Christians for a long time. And I knew that was no longer my path. And I did a lot of research and determined that nothing really fucking fit me, so I made my own path. Or my own thing. I just did what felt right, and that was always paganism.
I think for me, I've always been drawn to the witchy path. Always.
Yeah, me too.
First in school, when I first started actually researching it, all I got from the school library was, witches are evil and satanic and that kind of thing.
So and we sell, kill babies and sell them to Satan.
Yeah, so I kind of didn't want to go there because I didn't want to be evil, And so I went to church, and it was a Baptist church, and they tried to convince me that I needed to dump my best friend at the time because she was into the occult kind of thing.
Tanya?
Yeah. And so,
Ironically, someone I grew up with as well. So our paths have always been intertwined.
So yeah, I wasn't willing to dump my best friend because they didn't like her, and I left the church, and I started reading more, reputable books like Silver Raven Wolf and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, and that's how I kind of found my path along the way.
I was blessed to always have that reading material, the good reading material. Having a mom who was super witch. So she had very, very Wiccan. So I started my path on the Wiccan path because I thought that's what paganism was. I have since learned that paganism is very broad. But yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay, so 52. What type of pagan are you? Wiccan, eclectic, hedge, etc. I'm just a witch. I guess eclectic. I do whatever feels right at the time. I don't follow a specific tradition.
I concur. I'm also eclectic. I'm me. I'm me in politics. I'm me in faith. I'm just who I am. So I guess eclectic would be the best way to describe me. 53. What candle color do you use most? White or black? Because it's kind of good for everything. It's an all-purpose thing.
I would say I use green more often than anything, but for years the only spell castings that I really actively did was Magick. Other than that, I use white because you can use it for anything.
I currently have a white spell candle for money, so white is for me all purpose, and so is black, but white is a lot easier to find when it's not Halloween.
Right. Okay, 54. What area would you like to see your craft grow in? I don't really set out to have like specific goals for my witchiness.
Right.
It would be nice if my intuition grew a little bit, or maybe deciphering messages from various gods and goddesses or other beings. That would be nice. That way you actually have a clue as to what they're telling you.
For me, the only way I really want my craft to grow is for me to have more faith in myself, because that is something I struggle with on a daily basis. As my faith in myself, my faith in the gods, and differentiating the fact that evil, horrible shit happens, and it has completely nothing to do with the gods. Number 55. What is your preference? What is your preference to buy or make your tools? Oh, to buy or to make your tools. It depends on the stuff. I mean, I make stuff because I'm such a crafter. My favorite chime candle I made out of polymer clay, or a candle holder rather. But I also buy a lot of stuff like, my herbs and stuff. I don't make those. I don't grow them. I buy them. But I make a lot. So it depends on what the tool is. I'm not gonna make a knife,
Well, that's my thing. I don't have the abilities to make an athame.
I mean, I guess you could. It doesn't have to be an actual knife, but
I do prefer handmade items because I think while making it, you're putting your intent and it's more bonded to you, so I think it's going to work for you better.
All right. I mean,
or if something is custom made for you.
But yeah, I make a lot of my stuff. We make a lot of our stuff. I have so many craft supplies because I make so much shit. But there's stuff that I'm like pillar candles. I can make that, but it's easier and cheaper to go to the Dollar Tree and pick up candles.
Oh, yeah. So, 56, what fictional witch book inspired you the most? I don't really think I've ever been really inspired by a fictional witchy thing because, well, it's fictional. As
I
awesome,
call bullshit.
well, as awesome as it would be for, Harry Potter to be real.
No, practical magic, bitch. You always watch out when you want to get into a witchy mood.
True.
So that does inspire you.
Yeah, if I'm really into a witchy mood, I've got to watch Practical Magic.
Yep.
Or Harry Potter, for that matter. Or Lord of the Rings,
So, I mean, I don't think inspiring you technically, you want to do exactly like them, but it puts you in a witchy mood.
Yeah.
Charmed.
Yeah. I've kind of had my fill of Charmed. I mean, I love Charmed, but I've seen it and seen it and seen it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Practical Magic, Charmed, even Hocus Pocus, don't judge, and Switches.
Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh yeah, Buffy.
Supernatural.
Supernatural is a good one, except the only thing I hate is that witches are evil and bad in that, and it pisses me off.
Well, I kind of find it ironic considering witches are evil and bad in that show, and yet they're constantly doing some kind of spell. And I'm like,
I
really?
concur.
But,
I haven't really watched it since they killed off Bobby. That really pissed me off. I like Bobby.
It's going downhill. You're not missing much.
So, there's a lot, but nobody inspires me as much on book and screen as real people doing real magic do. So, 57. What's your first spell? Were you alone or in a coven? That is very easy for me because I've never done coven, so alone.
Alone here too. Okay, 58. What is your favorite candle incense scent for magical purposes? I don't really work with a lot of scents and candles. When I get candles for, say, money magic, most of the green candles you're going to find are juniper, pine.
Or green apple is another one.
And so, in that, I will go with the juniper or the pine. Those work better for me.
Yeah, pine is the one I use for money magic because, well, pine is really good in money spells, and it is the most common green candle scent. As far as
incense, dragon's blood.
Same here. Dragon's blood is my all-time favorite. I love everything about dragon's blood. I love the way it feels. I love the way it smells. I love the way it looks. I can't say I love the way it tastes because never really tasted dragon's blood. I don't think that's healthy. But dragon's blood I put in almost all my spells because for me it's an amplifier. But I love dragon's blood. Dragon's blood, lavender is another one I use a lot for calming purposes.
For me, it depends on the lavender because I don't like a lot of the fake floral smells.
No, it has to be real lavender for me, like actual lavender buds on an incense round.
Right.
I make my own incense blends, and frankincense and myrrh is another one. I love the smell of frankincense and myrrh.
Another one of my favorite scents is cinnamon. I love the smell of cinnamon.
Oh, I found a cinnamon wreath yesterday, but it was $7 and I couldn't talk myself into it. But it smelled so good. 59, where is your favorite place to go to reconnect with nature? My backyard.
Yeah, right outside my house is my favorite.
Yeah, I've never been to the ocean or anything like that, but I really want to go one day. But yeah, I just kind of sit out in my backyard and listen to the birds and planes because I live on a military base and there's always fucking planes. But yeah. Psychotic dogs next door and barking.
60. Do you believe in fantasy creatures such as unicorns, gnomes, elves, fairies, etc.? Why, yes. Yes, I do. I don't necessarily think that we have unicorns or dragons running around in this realm, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. I'm well aware that dragons exist.
Right.
And
And fairies.
I do believe that the fairy realm is a thing. I work with them often.
I also believe in all that stuff. I think it's not quite in our realm, just like ghosts aren't quite in this realm. But I think there's a crossover, and that crossover is enough during certain moon phases and times of year to whether it's. I think with fairies, it's more of a time shift. Like they're there, but we can't see them. I don't know. I do believe in them, though. I've worked with them. I've seen them, felt them, dreamed of them. They are real to me. Number 61. Do you believe in ghosts and spirits? Hell yes. I've seen them.
Of course I do. I've seen them. I've talked to them, heard them, ran into them.
Oh, that had to be cold.
It was more like running into like in a crowd, you run into somebody's shoulder, but there was nothing there. So yes, I do believe in spirits and ghosts. And, but that's me.
Right.
Hey, 62, would you ever teach the craft? It depends on the subject. I think as far as the basics, basics are basics, and you can Google or pick up a book and you can learn the basics.
I agree.
And,
I'm more than willing to help someone, but as far as actual teach, no, because I don't know enough to be a teacher. I am in the mother phase of my life, and I can help if I know something, and I am more than happy to help. But as Lilith said, for basics like candle correspondence and stone correspondence, there's 1,001 sites online that you can look that up. You can look it up on Pinterest.
Just avoid anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons.
Or games, video games, or games in general. It helps to put the K on the end when searching for that, or being very specific when you're doing your search. Say, magical correspondence for candle colors, or whatever. But as far as teaching, I'm still a student. I'm still learning. So, no, I would not be willing to teach the craft, though I'm more than willing to help someone learn, which to me is the same thing. 63. What, if any, legal herb do you use for moods? St. John's wort for depression, and lavender, and dragon's blood. They are all mood elevators to me.
Yeah, I've been using a lot of lavender and dragon's blood just to kind of calm my kids out in the afternoons when they first come home from school.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a madhouse.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I do. 64. What is the most recent spell/ritual you have done? Slight detail, please.
That would be our spell for business.
Yeah.
We did a business success spell and a money spell, and a friendship spell, and I also did a fertility spell because I am trying to get pregnant, which is incredibly stupid, but there you go. So yeah, we did that one together. So we did those 3 spells together, and then I had the separate fertility one, and I think she had a separate money one.
Yeah.
So, number 65, do you have a happy place you go to during meditation? Not really, because I suck at visualization, but...
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I go to the middle of the forest or someplace like on the ocean. A lot of times they'll actually mesh, so I'm on the beach next to the ocean and the forest is behind me. 66. What is your favorite witchy book? Anything written by Alexa Regine.
I don't... It depends on for what. I have,
Unless, of course, we're talking fiction, at which point my favorite would be Harry Potter.
Yeah, same here. Fictional, it would definitely be Harry Potter.
Or the Misspells, cozy book, witchy cozy books.
I'm such a book nerd. I have so many books. So I don't think I could choose one as far as magic goes because I mean I like Scott Cunningham's book of incenses and brews and stuff, but it depends on for what I want it for. And as far as fictional, yeah, there's a lot there too because I like supernatural type. Let's go figure. Number 67, do you have a ritual to get ready before a ritual or a spell? No, I don't. I just kind of, other than gathering my ingredients or stuff for my spell, no.
I don't go through any type of special ritual beforehand either.
Well, I do light an incense. Does that count?
I guess. Especially if you're like saging or something like that, but I really don't.
I mean, it depends. When it's an actual full-blown ritual, I'll take a shower and sage, but I almost never do full-blown rituals. So, no, I just kind of gather my stuff, light an incense, and go.
Alright, 68. Do you always use your own spells or do you tweak others? I am slowly beginning to create my own spells, but I usually just piece together other spells and use what works for me.
Same here. I do use other people's sometimes. I tweak others. Mostly I'll use the words from another and then the other parts for me because as creative as I am in certain ways, I haven't been a writer in a good many years, and when I try to come up with a spell, it sounds like something horrible out of a really bad witchy movie. Like, rhymey and stupid and, it just sounds really cheesy. So, yeah, I like other people's spells better. But I do use my own spells occasionally, usually when intent is there, not so much talking. 69, do you prefer spells or rituals inside or outside? It depends on the spell or ritual for me. And it also greatly depends on the weather or, a number of factors, because I do live on a military base. There's certain things I cannot do without getting in trouble with housing, so I do a lot of things inside. But yeah.
I do prefer doing things inside. Well, I prefer doing them outside, but I live in West Texas-ish, so it's usually windy, and as I do candle magic, candle and wind equal no. So...
Right, I have that problem too because I live in the mountains and it is windy as hell here, always.
So I tend to do my stuff inside. Okay, number 70. If you are coming from a Christian/Catholic background, do you find the transition hard with family and the whole going to hell thing? Basically... leaving all you've been told was right. I didn't really have a problem leaving the Christian path. The witchy path had always called to me. The problem I had was with my parents, because though my mother was like the teen dark witch, then she became the more Christian than witch, and my dad, he just never got it.
No, he didn't.
And so I found that difficult, and I think initially it can be difficult for people coming out of a Christian path, especially if they were raised that way, because it's a completely different line of thought. But
it is. I think it's easier for Catholic.
Over time, I mean, so we call it Yule and y'all call it Christmas. Well, it's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yes, I am very witchy, but we still have Christmas. We don't have Yule, quote unquote. I still have a Christmas tree, and we have Christmas Eve, and,
Right. With me, I was raised with pagan parents, so it's not a thing that I ever really thought about, though I do still deal with, I was raised in Texas, so I get told I'm going to hell quite often. And I do think that there is a place for horrible people. I don't think it is hell. I think we live in hell. And hell is of our own creation. So, but when someone tells me I'm going to burn in hell, I tell them it's their hell and they can burn in it if they want, but I'm not going to because I am a good person. 71, what are your totem animals? Ferret, fish, and cat.
My totem animals are cats, some domestic, some big cats, and wolves.
Yes, big cats are also in there because my main spirit animal is a black panther, black snow leopard actually. So there you go.
Well, my totem animals include black panther and, a white tiger and a wolf. And then I'm fairly certain that I have dragons somewhere in my totems too. So.
Alright, with me it's less, I guess, fish and more of dolphins.
Yeah, I've always been drawn to dolphins too. So.
I'm obsessed with the ocean, which is ironic given that I'm a fire sign. But yeah.
Hi, 72. What are some things you reuse after spells and ritual work? Well, as I typically do candle magic, used to I would not reuse a candle for another spell. It just seems
Well,
I mean, if you're putting your intent to bring love into your life, for instance, into a candle, I don't think that, you can turn around and use that for something else. Or even worse, if you're doing like a greater spell and then use it for something else. But anymore, maybe I'm wrong. I typically burn candles until they're done with that intent. So
I reuse stones. I will cleanse a stone and reuse it because that unless I grind a stone into powder for a spell, yeah. I do reuse the wax. I will, if I don't burn something down completely, I will melt it down into something else. But yeah, that's pretty much it, is stones and sometimes candles. But usually I burn candles down to nothing, so yeah. 73, who helped you most when starting your path? My mom.
I'm going to go with my mom too.
My mom was always very vocal and always supportive no matter what I wanted to be. She was the one who gave me the choice of what I wanted to be, and if I ever had questions, my mom was always there to help me. So my mom was who helped me most.
And like I said, I'll have to go with her mom too. She was the first person outside of Taz that I found that was willing to answer my questions or talk to me about witchiness without just going, "Be careful what you do."
Oh yeah, or tell you how evil you were because your mom would fucking go from one extreme to another.
Well, she wasn't like that when I was a teenager. That became a thing.
Well, my mom wasn't like she is now when she was a teenager either. She is one of the most open people I know, but living in Texas as a very open, outgoing witch seriously worked her.
But my mom was a far different, awesome person when I was a teenager. And she changed a lot after she lost her vision. But your mom was far more of a help than anything. The only problem I ever had with your mom is her automatically assuming that because I had been in the path for so many years or I was such and such age that I automatically knew everything that she was talking about and I didn't want to look stupid, so I didn't ask questions.
Yeah, that's when you'd come to me and I'd explain it because I grew up having this stuff shoved down my throat.
Well, I mean, like one of the first conversations that we had was on energy balls, and I didn't even know that was a thing,
Yeah.
And she automatically assumed that I knew how to do that and all that, and I'm just going, sure.
My mom, one of my mom's biggest faults is that, and it's not just in witchy stuff, it's in general, because my mom is incredibly smart. She assumes that everyone is as smart as her or is completely stupid, so there's, the fact that she didn't explain to you is actually respectful for my mom, because she didn't explain it to you like you were a fucking moron.
Yeah, well, I don't see your mom as all bad, but I never had to live with her, so moving on.
My mom's not all bad. My mom really isn't. My mom is a wonderful person. She's just got a lot of fucking issues, and
Everyone has issues, honey.
Exactly, but like you said, I had to live with her, and I had to deal with those issues more than anyone. So, yeah, there's issues there, but I love my mom with all my heart.
Alright, 74. Do you know any good witchy phone apps like moon phases? I have looked off and on for years for good witchy apps, and most of them are pay to use, and, well, I'm a cheap ass bitch.
Well, that, and we don't have a lot. I mean, you have 6 kids. That doesn't leave a whole lot in the bank, especially when we're both disabled.
No, I live on a very strict, limited budget, and so money goes to pay the bills and to get stuff for the kids, pretty much.
Right. I haven't found any that really suit me, but then again, I think part of my mom kind of rubbed off on me in the aspect of phone, evil. I use my phone to talk on, and yeah.
Well,
there's a couple apps I use.
I do use one app that helps me keep track of the moon phases, but I always go and double check it because it's usually not right. It's usually a day or two off. So
I use my computer for that. So as far I wouldn't call it an app so much as would it be? Yeah, I guess it would be an application. It is something for my computer, though, not my phone. Number 75. What is your favorite magical study? That to me sounds very Harry Potterish, but my favorite area of study is everything. But that's just me. That's who I am. I am the information whore. I love studying. I really do. You could ask it. I am the useless knowledge fucking queen. I want to know everything. So I don't have a favorite.
I can't really say that I have a favorite either. There's not any one thing that I actively study more so than others. I want to know everything.
Right. I mean, currently, this moment, it's spell bottles. But that's because I'm going to be selling spell bottles. So I want as much information as I can to make good spell bottles.
And for me, personally, if you stop learning, you stop living.
I agree there wholeheartedly. And when you hit that point where you think you know everything, you become an arrogant asshole. And I don't want to do that.
76. Outside of the YouTube and Facebook community, do you have a lot of witchy friends in the physical world?
We don't have a lot of friends in the physical world generally.
No, I'm a very antisocial creature. I will actively go out of my way to avoid people because I don't like people as a whole.
I mean, there are friends that I have met in real life, but right now, because I live so far away from everybody, with a husband that is in a military base and in a military setting where I don't particularly get along with a lot of military wives or families, I tend to just stay in my own little bubble, so I don't have a lot in the way of actual friends nearby in general.
Well,
but a lot of my friends are witchy.
Well, as I live off in the middle of nowhere, I don't really know a lot of people in this location, and,
neither one of us are overly social, so
I would say real world witchy friends, well, has obviously my husband,
right,
my kids when they're not being asked at, because even the ones that are Christian, they have witchy abilities,
But in that sense, we're family, so I mean, yes, family can be friends, but we're more than friends.
And one of my brother-in-laws, he's a pagan. We don't see him very often, and we don't really discuss it. No, not Dustin. So
I mean, I have a wide number of friends of every faith known to man. I have Muslim friends, I have Christian friends, I have pagan friends, I have Catholic friends, but I do have a goodly number of pagan friends, but they're not people I hang out with or even talk to often. Though my two very best friends are both witches, so there's that. And last
question.
Very last question. Do you feel that the deities we work with are a force from one higher power and all beliefs and religions are from one God in place? Yes, I do. I think that all the deities are aspects of the All-Father or one higher power. I think that all religion pray to God, and there's a million different names for God, and nobody is wrong for their relationship with God. I think that judging someone because they call God by a different name is stupid.
I can agree with that. I've always seen deity as one big higher power that just chooses to show itself to individuals in a way that they can process and understand for themselves.
Exactly, that's exactly what I view. And yes, there are aspects that I think you call upon to that aspect. But I think it's all aspects of God. So yeah, God or goddess or whatever you want to call it, it's the higher being. And that is all of them. And this is a very long post, but that gives you a lot of information about us. We do tag anyone who wants to do this who hasn't already done it.
So with that, thank you for joining us.
If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer. Thank you very much. Blessed be.
Blessed be.